Hello again, back in the bunker. Hope you're enjoying the apocalypse. Have a cup of tea on me. I really recommend ginseng tea, Korean ginseng. You can get it from a Asian grocer or online. Really good stuff. Good way to calm your mind and give you a boost without caffeine. Yeah, so look, I've just been thinking today a lot, like every day. I think a lot, you can tell. And it's a bit of noise out there because someone's building a roof or something. Anyway, so disclaimer, I got my old plates on, as an old housemate would say. Got my training wheels on. I'm spitballing here. I'm just throwing out ideas. I'm saying stuff to the camera here in my my garage in Australia. So look, I could be wrong. Could be 90% wrong. Okay, you take away whatever I say, and you are responsible for you and what goes in your head and what you like. And you can listen to a lot of different people. It's the brilliance of living in the internet 2.0 age. So, alright, first up, religion. What do you think when I say religion? It doesn't do much for me, okay? I'll tell you that much. Religion. It sounds stuffy. The word sounds stuffy and close-minded and so why do we have so many religions? Living in the new millennium, 20 years in, you know, think about maybe the last 150 odd years, we've just added more variations and denominations and different fringe groups and cults, and the list goes on. There's more different variations of human thought and philosophy and interpretation than's ever existed. So what's up with that, eh? It's confusing, right? What do I believe? Do I become like Chris Martin once said from Coldplay, I'm an all theist, all paths lead to the same destination because it's too confusing, and pick and choose, take a bit of the Quran, take a bit of Buddha, take a bit of the Apostle Paul, some random Facebook posts. Wondering how many of y'all getting your ideas, your worldview from stuff from the Facebook or YouTube or Instagram or wherever. I mean, potentially anybody who's got one of these accounts can just start up a major social media following and be a leader. Be like a prophet. Be, you know, we've got these books, right? We've got the Quran, we've got the Torah, we've got the testimonies of Jesus and the writings of Luke. There's a lot in there. I mean, we've got this thing called the Bible, right? But it's actually like a lot of individual texts that were compiled over millennia, thousands of years, put together to make what we call the Bible. And then they print it and make it look pretty, and then you get a copy of it and you're like, what's up with this? Well, I mean, that's a pretty big question, right? But I don't really think that that book, the big one, the Bible, the book, is always everything that people think it is. It's not all it's cracked up to be, so to speak. Because a thought that I've had is, if God wanted to write a book, I mean, he's God, right? I mean, think about every author, all the literature that's ever been written, all the art, music, scientific discoveries. how many books are there on planet Earth? I mean, do you have time to read? We wouldn't have time to read everything that's been written, right? Everything good, at least, even. I mean, I grew up in like a library, basically. My dad's house was, and it still is, a library of art and history, books about religion, philosophy. It's very mixed, very diverse. And it was confusing, actually, living in that kind of chaotic, hoarded mess. It's making more sense to me now why my dad's brain even worked like that. What's he been on about? What's he even been on about for years and years and years and years? But yeah, so we got this book called the Bible, and it's like, it's meant to be God's book, right? And it seems like a pretty odd way for the divine, the creator of all, the source of all life, inspiration, to impart or communicate with humanity. Because if, I don't know, I'm not sure what if you were God and you were writing a book, well, how would you do it? Would you just make like an instruction manual, like you get in your phone box? Switch on planet Earth, do this. This is how you control the weather. It's not like that when you read the Bible. In fact, a lot of it is pretty confusing, and you got to dig deep. It's a deep book. It feels like layers and layers and layers. I'm not sure if the right word's like meta, but layers upon layers upon layers. Like the surface story is what you might hear about, or you watched a movie about, or you know, back when Sunday school was a thing. I mean, I did Sunday school with the Salvation Army, and a thing called Metro Kids. Shout out to Metro Kids. Yeah, so you learn about the Bible stories, and it's almost kind of cute, really. I mean, I love learning about those stories. I loved learning about David throwing the stone and killing the giant. But what is this all really talking about? I mean, is it just cute stories that we tell kids and use it to control each other or control bad behavior? 10 Commandments, don't murder, don't steal. I mean, it's good advice, right? I mean, we got a lot of those things on the top 10 list there just happening in the planet Earth right now, and it's causing all kinds of chaos, right? So, what is the Bible? The book. Well, it seems to me, and forgive me if I'm wrong, and you've got a different opinion about this, but the divine, the creator, wanted to communicate with all of these people, these groups of people, these individuals, and then their interpretation and their reciting and telling of this story into the social consciousness, the collective consciousness of a group, say the Jewish nation from the Bible. And so it affects everything in that group, and so the stories may come from that perspective. Maybe think of it like if I was telling a story about Australia, and then an American's reading it, but everything's coming from the perspective of an Australian talking about Australian things. You know, I don't know if that makes sense. You know, it's not everything is going to make sense to the other recipient, because we're kind of almost communicating on different frequencies, right? Like little words and things aren't going to make sense, and nuances and context. So, like, if God wanted to write a book, it could have been a lot simpler. It could have just been a book. He could have just dropped a book out of the sky, you know, made a bunch of copies. This is how I want you to do things. Here's your golden lottery ticket, like Charlie in the Chocolate Factory, and you can go to heaven. You can. It's not really like that, hey? So, what is God trying to say in that amazing book? and just many, many texts and authors. And what is he trying to say to you right now? Well, I can't answer that for you, but perhaps he wants to have relationship with you. He wants to explore with you. He wants to love with you. He wants to laugh with you. He wants to cry with you. Wherever you're at. Maybe you're Buddhist. You know, one time I met a Buddhist Tibetan monk. You know, we had a chat. I think we drank some tea together. It's a crazy, weird experience of my life, but there's been many of those. Maybe you're on your knees. You got a carpet under your legs, under your knees, and that's where you're at. That's where you're at. You're trying to meet God, trying to communicate with your Maker. Maybe you don't even believe in God. Maybe you're an atheist. Maybe you're a Buddhist, somewhere in between, and you're into philosophy and trying to work out the meaning of suffering. Well, perhaps, can I suggest, just try being open to possibilities, being open to being surprised, perhaps. C.S. Lewis authored a lot of books, and he was an atheist for a big chunk of his life. And one of his books was called Surprised by Joy. Maybe you need to be surprised by joy. Maybe whatever is trying to communicate with you, that is good. That is from the source, from God, in my opinion. Maybe it's not going to look like what you think it's going to look like. If you're a believer, you believe in these things, or you're an atheist or agnostic, be open to the possibility that you'll be surprised by joy.